Round 2 of the 2021 to Challenge series takes us to Turkey for the first ever Turkish Grand Prix of the series. The circuit has got a big history behind himself, and it produced exciting and interesting races over the past few years, including last year's Turkish Grand Prix. Coming into this race, Nicolas Romaci has already bagged the race win in Bahrain, and looked unstoppable here as well, as he once again beat Dragon in qualifying, but only just this time, because the two has been separated by 41 hundredths of a second. The Mandrake has locked out the second row with Tessa ahead of Scudellaro. Then comes Lukic in 5th, a pretty disappointing qualifying by him, while Juan Guerrero managed to do his best ever qualifying in the series. Ilia Tatari starts 7th, a pretty good qualifying by him, followed by Stefano Colita in 8th. Bart once again impressing in the Miles-powered car in 9th, and Tim Schmidt for the first time managed to get into the top 10 in his second ever race of the series. The race hasn't even started, but we already got some drama here. Mark Sabas and Tarek Nezaric collided in the formation lap.
He brake tested me. What the hell is going on?
What the fuck was he doing? Honestly, is he a fucking prick or what?
Due to severe damage, they both have to start from the pit lane. Romaci gets a good start and gets ahead of Dragon, while he has to look back because the two Mandrake cars and Lukic want to make a pass on him as well. Lukic and Scudellaro goes past Dragon, and he gets all out of shape coming back onto track. And when he thought things couldn't get worse, Juan hits Tessa and that sends him into Dragon. And that costs Dragon all out of positions once again. And then, to make matters worse, he dives down the inside with Colita and they collide. Colita is pumped while Dragon continued to go on.
What a fucking cunt.
At the start, Caproni made up a few places in the chaos, but he sent Alessandro Getty into the runoff area.
What the fuck was that, honestly? Seriously? Does he want to kill us?
Getty was already half a car ahead of Caproni when he decided to turn on him. The collision sent Getty across the track and into the runoff area. At the end of the same lap, there's a huge battle in the midfield when Juan Guerrero, who's fallen down the order thanks to the chaos at the start, moves past Butzek and goes ahead of Caproni as he runs wide. Butzek slits wide in turn 3, Colita and Caproni moves past them, but Caproni runs wide and Colita hits Butzek. Despite the contact, Butzek tries to get back ahead of Caproni, but he can't do it. Now Colita is back for more. Butzek holds his line, but Caproni runs wide again, and Colita breezes past them. Things got bad to worse for Nezaric. He spun on turn 8 and lost his front wing after a pit lane start, so he needs to come back to the pits. At the back of the field, Michael Molara dives down the inside of Volunteers and takes the place. A rookie against an experienced guy. It's Schmidt against Bart. And they collide! Luckily, no damage was done to the two cars. But thanks to this maneuver of Schmidt, they both lost positions to Juan and Bence Valdinger. Juan continues the charge, now he's attacking Harry Smith's stand-in driver, Bence Valdinger. It's not just Juan who is on the charge, Dragon is on the charge as well as he tries to pass Tartari, and eventually goes round the outside of him. But coming into the long straight, Tartari uses the engine power to fight back. Dragon tries to defend and even pushes Tartari wide.
Okay, he pushed me off the track. I think you have to leave a space. All the time you have to leave a space.
But eventually has to concede that position for now. Up in front, Romaci was leading for Scudellaro, but look who's coming behind of him. It's Luka Lukic trying to attack the Mandrake car. Lukic dives down the inside as they are wheel to wheel coming into the last few corners. And Lukic manages to get ahead of Scudellaro. Now Bart is on the charge to get back up in front. And then Caproni tries to dive down the inside of Molara and pushes him wide. Bart benefits from the situation. He gets past Molara and then tries to attack Caproni. He tries to go round the outside, but he can't manage to do it. Coming into the long straight, they are side by side once again. And Bart has the inside line coming into the last few corners. Juan continues to charge as he breezes past Tartari in the Racing Maratus car. Back at the field, Alessandro Gatti is trying to make some moves to get himself into the points, as he gets past Molara, while up in front, Abiti spins in turn 7. That gifted Bart a free position. And for a few other cars as well.
Box.
Here's Lustia using the engine power to try and get past Butzek, but look who's coming behind! Bart is waiting for an opportunity to get past them. Up ahead, Tartari is now fighting with Kolita. Kolita gets ahead of Tartari coming into the straight, but this is when the Mercedes power kicks in. Or should I say BMW power as well, as Tim Schmidt tries to get past Tartari with a better exit. They are side by side coming into the last few corners, but Tartari has the inside line. And eventually gets back ahead. Later into the race, Caproni runs wide and turn 9. And that gives the position to Getty. Bart felt like he spent enough time behind Lostia and Butek, and now he's trying to get a move on the Alpine. He eventually gets ahead of him, and now he's side by side with Lostia coming into turn 8. This is something that you can see now nowadays. Two cars side by side coming through turn 8. And Bart gets ahead of Lostia, but coming into the small straight, Lostia uses the slipstream and the Mercedes engine power to get back ahead of him. And coming out of turn 8, he gets a better exit and uses the engine advantage to get ahead of the miles powered car. The other miles powered car of Bence Valdinger is in combat as well. He's trying to defend from Kolita. Despite the engine advantage over the miles powered car, Kolita gets past Bence Valdinger, but Valdinger does the old switcheroo. But he outbroke himself, and Kolita gets back ahead of him. Later on in the race, the drivers are starting to make their first stops. Once Tessa made his first stop, he comes ahead of Lostia, who's coming at rapid speed. After the stops, Tim Schmidt got back on track behind Zervos. Now he's trying to get past him. Although we better look further down the field, Bart is trying to get past Lostia once again. And coming into turn 7, he dives down the inside of the Racing Scuderas car and easily gets the position. Lukic and Tessa made their first stops and came back ahead of the pack. And on the very next lap, Bart tries to dive down the inside of Tartari to get another position. But Tartari gets a much better exit and gets back ahead. Although this will be only for a short time, as Bart tries to go around the outside of him and coming into turn 4. Then does a switchback move and gets ahead of Tartari, who runs over the curb. And 2 corners later, Juan Guerrero gets past him as well. And he nearly lost the car. Bart is once again in battle with one of the Delta Sim racing cars, but this time, it's Juan who's trying to overtake him. He moves to the inside, and as easy as you like, he gets the position. Bence Valdinger hasn't made his first stop yet, so he lets Lukic and Scudellaro by, knowing that he is not fighting with them. And at the end of the lap, comes into the pits. As the leaders make their stops, Ramachi still emerges ahead of the pack. It's a battle between the brother and the sister team, or just to simply overtake as Lostia gets ahead of Tartari. Before they both come into the pits. Up in front, Ramachi was still leading from Lukic and the 2 Mandre cars. But as we look behind, Gatti and Kolita engaged in combat once again. Gatti gets the move done, but Kolita comes back for more. And goes ahead for now. Meanwhile, Bart gets ahead of Tim Schmidt easily as Schmidt's tires started to wear out. Juan seemingly tries to pull off a one-stop as he comes to the pits late on in the race. Schmidt tried to extend his first stint of the soft tires, but it doesn't work out as he got the front right puncture. Now he needs to get back into the pits as soon as he can. Luckily, the pit lane is close enough to not lose too much time. But as he comes into the pits, things go bad to worse, as he slides into the pit lane, overshooting the speed limit. And that earned him a drive-through penalty. Tessa comes into the pits to make his final stop, but he too overshoots the speed limit lane, and he gets a drive-through penalty as well. At the rear of the field, Zavos is trying to get as many positions as possible after his formation lap collision with Tarek Nezaric. His first target, Laurentius, is an easy job to do so. Laurentius couldn't do much to fight back, and he even loses the car. That's not the weekend he wanted.
They went so hard. Understood. Mode 6 when you can. Mode 6 when you can.
Coming into the next lap, Maurizio Tessa has been disqualified from the race after he doesn't serve his drive-through penalty. But now let's look back on track as Caproni tries to defend from Bloodsec. Bloodsec has already showed his inner Daniel Ricciardo already during this race as he breaks leaders and goes round the outside of Caproni. Laurentius' bad race continues as he slides onto the grass and then smashes his car into the barrier, losing his front wing. Although nothing could have stopped Ramacci as he comes into the last corner to get 2 out of 2 wins in the championship as he wins the first ever The Challenge F1 Turkish Grand Prix. Lukic comes home in second ahead of Scudellaro in third. Seems like we're gonna leave Turkey without last lap drama as well. Bence Valdinger decided to try and pull a one-stop strategy, but coming into the last few corners, his front left gave in. He desperately tries to defend from Lostia, but his tires are already far gone, and now he's suffering a front left puncture. And with that, Lostia manages to get 8th place in the last few corners ahead of Bence Valdinger in 9th. After the start line incident, Dragon managed to get back himself into 4th, but received a 20-second time penalty for the incident coming into turn 4. That penalty demoted him from 4th to 6th. Marsden is 7th, that's the best position that a Miles Power car has ever been. While Bence Valdinger left home in 9th after his front left puncture, but still scoring points for the team in his first outing in this season. In the driver's standing, Ramacci now has a huge lead to now second place driver Andrea Scudellaro. Thanks to the penalty, Dragon slipped down to 3rd, while Juan Guerrero slipped down to 4th. Lukic managed to get his first points of the season with the 2nd place, and he's currently sitting 5th in the standings, just ahead of Kalita in 6th. Racing Scuderies continues to lead the Constructors' Championship with a few measly points ahead of Mandray Racing, but with them, and as Alpine is a tough competitor, it will be a hard season for them. Infinity Engineering gets their first points with the 2nd place of Lukic, and gets ahead of Black Sea F1. Miles Bravo Mechanics splits down from 6th to 7th, while Racing Maratus, ATC Racing, and Edu Sim Club closes the standings. The next race will once again come after 2 weeks' time as we travel to Hungary to Budapest to the Hungaroring for the 2nd running of the Hungarian Grand Prix.